right, welcome back. Part two. Esau and the Edomite factor or traits of our enemy. Let's get involved. You've heard me clarify some things about the spirit and about the flesh. I want to start off saying, a lot of times we even have our own Israelites talking about the E1, B1A or B blood types, and we're really getting into that bloodline stuff. And I'm gonna tell you something. Our blood is mixed, always has been. And if it was just natural blood only, then we would be most miserable people. But he said, I'm going to circumcise the heart. And you'll know because there's a witness inside of you. And he's called what? The set apart spirit. And he said he'll lead and guide us into all truth. You either believe it or you don't. Either you know that you know or you don't know. And you got people that are saying, well, because I got this kind of blood, I'm in. No, that doesn't mean anything. You could be out. Because remember, it's not a flesh and blood issue. It's a spirit issue this time. And that's what people don't understand. They want to keep the physical, mental, tactical type things when it's following after the things of the spirit. But the reason they don't understand that is because they don't have the spirit. What is the blood going to do type if you don't have the spirit? Think about that. Think about you got the color skin, but you don't have the heart to follow and obey the commandments of the Most High. What does that leave you? Paul makes it very clear in Romans. If you're circumcised, fine, but if you're circumcised and your heart hasn't been changed, then what's the point? Get into that another time. But we're going to get on right back to understanding our enemy. All right, we're going to deal with the Ishmaelites and Edomites again. Let's get busy. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are sometimes referred to as the Abrahamic faiths. Abrahamic faiths. Since Abraham was the forefather of the Yehudis, and Christians are claiming the same, through Isaac, and the Muslims through Ishmael, it is interesting to note that Judaism has similar terms for Christians and Muslims. Arabs are referred to in the Talmudic resources or sources as Ishmaelites, and Christians as, listen to this, you all, Edomites. Edomites. We're going to get to the bottom of all of this. The descendants of Edom, who was Esau. That's what they claim. They is right, so that's what they claim. Let's look at Ishmael. Ishmael and his son settled in what is now called the Arabian Peninsula. The specific designation of Ishmaelites is mentioned a few times in the Bible, most notably in Genesis 37, for their involvement in the sale of Yosef. Later texts, such as the Midrash Rabbah, mention that the Ishmaelites and refer to them in a connection with Arabia. The association of Ishmael and Muslims is a fundamental point of Islam. However, whereas many might assume this doctrine came into being at the time of Muhammad, it long predates the rise of Islam among the people of Arabia. It should be noted that all Arabs are Muslims. I'm sorry, noted that not all Arabs are Muslims, nor are all Muslims Arabs. But given the interchange of Arabic and Islamic cultures, all Muslims are now often referred to in Jewish writing as Ishmael. Okay. The development of the reference to Christians as Edom is a little less obvious. Edom is another name for Esau. As it is written, Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I beg you, with the same red pottage, for I am famished. Therefore was his name called Edom, or red. Genesis 25 and 30. Numerous nations descended from Esau, numerous nations. But the Edomites were those who settled around Mount Seir and we know that was given to them in the area south of the Dead Sea, which is the area specifically designated to Esau by Yah. In the Talmudic period, Edom became associated with Rome. Edom became associated with Rome. Perhaps because Herod the Great, the Rome appointed vassal king of Judea, was an Edoman or Edomite, Edomin or Edomin or Edomite. Rome eventually became the center of what? Christianity. That's why they called them Esau. I told you were going to get some information that was a little different than what you've been hearing. So we're going to make this a spiritual thing, not only more so than anything else. That's what we're doing. The Christian world developed into what is now referred to as Western society. Western society. And so Western Christian society is referred to in Jewish sources as Edom. But even in that, we're going to find some discrepancy, some truth. All right? Jewish experience in relation to the history of the Roman Empire and, by extension, the Christian world that claimed to be its heir. Conscious of this function, the Yahsipans, it's Yosippon apostrophe S, author, worked hard to integrate Josephus' tone of critical historiography into the prevailing Jewish uh, ethnography. Ethnography, that's it, of the Roman Empire. The rabbis of late antiquity had claimed that the Romans descended from Esau, here it comes again, or Edom, and that their rivalry with the descendants of Yahsarel or Jacob stemmed from the uh, uh, twins enduring a grudge, or one of the twins enduring a grudge against the other, despite the distinctly positive light shown on their relationship in Genesis 33, Deuteronomy 24. While adopting this conventional ethnography, the Yosippon, that's Yosippon, uh, couches it in historicalizing narratives of Edomite migrations to Rome. Edomite migrations to Rome. It validates, in other words, the rabbi's notion of Rome by attending to Greco-Roman standards of that historical period as proof, which has a very hard point to knock. We know about the Kiddites. We call them Kiddites in the Old Testament, were Romans. Behind this effort, as Cohen duly points out, the Jewish interest was more urgent than at first it may appear. Superficially, the Jewish association of Rome and Edom merely continued a long-standing tradition according to which Jewish ethnic uh, taxonomy connected the contemporary peoples to those mentioned in the so-called Table of Nations in Genesis chapter 10. Thus, by the Middle Ages, Eskenazi and Tagama in Genesis 10:3 came to mean Germany and Turkey. And we know the Eskenazi came from Europe and fast hard to Russian, German areas, uh, respectively. But the Pacific ethnographic associations had changed over time. Josephus, for example, associates Ashkenaz with the Reginians. That's Reginians, Reginians, and Togarma. All right, with the what's called the Phrygians, Phrygians. In the case of Yosippon, two parallel ethnographic geographies like the Romans, simultaneously with with the biblical Kittim, and there's that word again, Kittim, Kit to the Greeks, Kit to the Greeks, and Edomites or Edomenes, a Semitic people neighboring the land of Yahsarel to the south. Yasapin acknowledges both genealogies for Rome, but goes to great lengths to justify the Edomite one and the deeper significance of this preference. All right. So there's a whole lot of story here, a storyline that's explaining to us that the Edomites had fast hand communication with the Kidonites, and they became the Romans. And so we know there was a mix of blood there. There was a mixture of blood with the Hittites. There was a mixture of blood with the Kittites. There was a lot of things going on with the Edomites. So if you're looking at Rome, which you're looking at today, you're looking at Rome and you're looking at the Kittites. And if you're looking at the Kittites, you're also looking at the Edomites. That's what I'm trying to tell you. All right. Let's go to Strong's concordance here. It says concordance number 3064. It just given the palace there was a certain, really it says Jew, but we know it's Yehudi. He had told them, and that's, excuse me, I better give you the, I think what I'll do is go down here to Jewish, Jews, Jewish. Okay, what this was really talking about is the word Jew. Jew was not even available back in the days of Scripture. That was written in there as a translated error. It's really no J, but they were Yehudis. But Satan, being slick, he took our word, Yehudi's words, our Bible, not even a Bible, because Bible's not in the Bible, our scriptures, and manipulated them to make it look like this is the legitimate people of the Bible, but it's not. And that's why you see all the figures and figurines, being of European. And I'm not getting into race, but that's what they did. Let's just be honest, okay? I'm for truth. But the underlying thing here is spiritual, and that's what I'm going to get to. Let's look at Herod that we have in Scripture during the times of our blessed Redeemer, Yeshua. Herod was born in southern Palestine. His father, Antipater, was an what? An Edomite. An Edomite. An Edomite. He was an Arab from the region between the Dead Sea and the Gulf of Aqaba. Antipater was a man of great influence, and we're talking about great men. Great men of this world, 99%, are just what? The hand of Satan in a physical form, doing his bidding. Okay, because they're greedy, they want money and fame, and guess who can give it to them? He offered it to Yahusha. I'll give you take a look and look at all of these kingdoms. I can give you all of them. I'm in charge here, Prince of the Air, God of this world. Of course, Yahusha turned him flat down. But anyway, we go on to say, a man of great influence and wealth, who increased both by marrying the daughter of a noble from Petra in southwestern Jordan. At that time, the capital of the rising of the Nabatean kingdom. Now, if you look up Nabatean, it's very important that you look up Nabatean. And there's pictures of the Nabateans. And they are a European-looking people. A European-looking people. So here we see a blend of Edomites and Nabatean. Also, your Philistines. And so we see the blend of the European, and we're not going to get into how Europeans got here. We've studied that. but we're going to say that there was such a mix. Remember, Edom, though red, was yet a black man. I mean, he was not a white man. People keep trying to make him white. He was not white. He was a twin he was a reddish color. Yes, we have brown people that are reddish color, and his brother was a more smoother skin, darker brother, but they were twins. And so what we're trying to show you is that there was an evolving of this mix of race. Let's look at Herod, though, here in uh, time of Yahusha. Uh, Herod was, although a practicing Yehudi, he practiced Judaism, okay? But he was of Arab origin on both sides of his family. So you can find that out in the Britannica. Herod the Great, uh, Herod the Great, he was the one who dispatched soldiers to kill the infant toddlers two and beneath in Bethlehem. Uh, his genetic composition presents us with an interesting conundrum. He is the whitewashed enemy ruler. I said the whitewashed enemy ruler of the Yahudi. Has a form of godliness, in other words, yet he denied the power thereof. And to sum it up, that is the spirit of Jezebel. Jezebel, the most popular religious spirit, and there we go, spirit. We're going to get deeper into this spirit. In all of hell comes to us very pious, very deep, and very full of otherworldly wisdom and revelations. And that's what many of our so called uh, religious uh, speakers are. Very charismatic, very deep, uh, very pious. Uh, well, just look around and see it everywhere. Uh, and But they're full of worldly wisdom. They're full of their own revelations, not the revelations of the Most High. If you don't know any better, you'll think that this prince is coming to you in the spirit of the Most High. But it's a counterfeit. This spirit of Jezebel is a counterfeit. It is not real. So a lot of your Udis are falling off into this track, and they have to be careful. Because when you become pious, when you can become full of yourself, when you begin to do what you want to do, and having Yah's people under bondage, and having people again placed under bondage. If you're in a group that's making you feel that you're a prisoner and you have no freedom to speak what comes to your mind to speak, as far as long as it's, of course, good and decent, then you need to move away from that group. It's a pious group. You can't wear your hair out without covering. That is not in the 600 and some plus commandments. And I know Paul was talking about tradition, so don't give me that about covering. And these kind of people that do that are usually they're the least spiritual people on the planet. I should say on the earth. Draw away from them because you'll never draw nigh to Yah, drawing nigh to such things as don't do this and don't do that. In the spirit, we do obey the commandments by the set apart spirit. It's coming to deceive you. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to show you that we do not need all these pious lies. And uh, stop, stop using Yiddish words. That's another thing that they're teaching us to do. Stop using these Adonais and this. Did you know shalom? Shalom is I was saying shalom until I found out its roots. Its roots is a mixture of Hebrew and Yiddish. That's not our language. I'd rather say hello and goodbye because at least that's the language of English that I speak. Even Paul said, don't speak words that you don't understand. Speak words that mean something to somebody. That's why I've been saying Salama. Okay, that's better than at least that comes from our people. All right, uh, uh, we need to stop. When we came in here, like myself, I was using the same words and the Sefer is really full of it, full of those names that are nothing to do with our original language. It's better to go back to saying Peter and John, Even though we know those weren't their names. You can say Yakakan if Yakanan if you want. But the thing is, what we're doing is we're going right back into the same old stuff we came out of. Stop using all these Yiddish names. You don't need them. Yah didn't say he was going to judge us on this. And what we have to understand is psychosis is when you believe something is reality that it's not. We don't have to use these words to be a set apart people. Don't let them put you in that handbasket again, out of that bucket again. I want you to know that it's difficult sometimes to explain things because I'm not sitting with you at all times. You can ask me questions, but I'm hoping you'll understand that maturation is a process, and we're not all there at one time. I'm still learning. You're learning. Let's just get real. Take off your shoes and sit on the floor with each other and get into the Word, and let's find out what Yah is saying, not what man is teaching you. I like this. He gave me what milk is. Milk of the Word. Milk is instruction. You know, Paul said, I would love to give you meat, but you're still on milk. Milk is instruction, but meat is revelation. Revelation from the Most High. We need the milk, and then we need to get on with the revelations. We can't stay in the same place, going around in circles doing the same thing we did when we were in Christianity. That's what it was. It's the same thing. You can almost tell what part of service, you look at your clock, that they were in. Everything was just like clockwork all the time. And this is what they offered. Entertainment and clockwork. All right, let's get back. Images and imaginations. I found out that images and imaginations, we're still learning about our enemy, are very important things because we don't understand the power of the mind. But watch out what images you're allowing yourself to soak up. We're trying our best to be the Udis Yah's called for, and there's also many different feed-ins on what that should look like. Don't let it disturb you. You humble yourself. Don't let your imagination get the best of you. Let the imagination be stirred by the Spirit, the set-apart Spirit. He'll always lead and guide everything about you in the correct manner. All right, let's get on back after that little bit. Oh, got a little off a bit, but I wanted to share that. So, oh, good, 3.5 minutes. By the way, I have a great director. She's my granddaughter. Isn't that great? Thank you, Carissa. All right. So I'm going to read this one more time. But if you don't know any better, and you'll think this prince is coming to as the spirit of Yah, and that is that pious, or I know it all, or I'm very deep, or that kind of a person, run as far away from that person as you can get. Okay, and all this piousness and rites and ritual people, get away from them. Get away from them. Yah has sent his son. His son gave his life. And then he was able to go and send the Holy Spirit, set apart Ruach, to write his laws upon our hearts, our regenerated hearts, hearts of flesh. But it's a counterfeit, y'all. Get out of these counterfeit camps. Get out of these counterfeit. Look, I watched just like you do. And you see some of these people stand up at a pulpit, just like when we were in church, still going around doing the same thing with their little praise and worship group. That's church. I don't care what you say. We need to come together, sit down, take off that piousness, sit down with the people of the Most High. Your gift makes room for you, not your title. We spoke on that on a few series back. If you're a pastor, that's just you're a nurturer. That's all that means. And they've taken it to mean something else. You're a teacher, then you teach the things that Yah reveals to you in his word. Don't teach your thoughts and what you want. Teach what he says. I'm going to let you go on that note. I want you to come back because we're going to start right back on these Edomites, because Edomite, we're finding out, is more to it than a race of people. That's what I'm teaching you. It wasn't totally some of that true, but it's more to it than this. And this is what you need to know. So we're going to come back on part 3. Don't miss it. Until next time, see ya. Shalom.